16-6, problem solving. Your essential question: how can you use objects to solve problems? This will be presented by me, Ms. Villaseñor, and we're going to get started and do some learning. Using objects. So for this problem solving, we're going to be using a pentomino. Now, what is a pentomino? Well, the definition for that, it is a shape made by joining 5 squares or cubes, and they're going to be placed side by side to make these certain shapes. So here's a picture there. We're going to review these shapes more closely, and you can also look in your book. They're there as well. Which is a pentomino? They're going to ask you that when they show you some shapes here. And we have to think of the definition. Remember, they are 5 squares that are joined together sharing a side, a full side. Okay, so we're going to analyze A, B, C, and D and determine which one is a pentomino. Let's start with A. These two are joined by that side. These two, that side, this side, that side, and the last one, that side. So it looks like this is a pentomino. But let's analyze the others just to make sure. On B, those two are shared by that side. Oh, this one's shared by a corner. You see that? That is not a side, a corner. So no, that is not a pentomino because it has to be they have to share a side. So we're going to cross B out. It's not B. Let's look at C. That side is shared by this side here. Now this is where it gets tricky. Do you see that this here? That is one of the squares is half, and then it continues with the other side of the square, the other half. So they don't share a full side. And the same here on this one here. So this would not be a pentomino because the full side is not shared. It's it's one side and then the other side. Let's look at D. These two here share a full side. Uh-oh, here we go again. This one is sharing a corner, which means that is not a pentomino. So reviewing all these, this means that A would be a pentomino. Okay, as we continue, I want to let you know that there are 12 possible pentominos. And if you look closely, they resemble the shape that they identify these pentominos as, okay? And so we have here F, and I will highlight as we go over them, the shape F. And then we have I, and we have the shape L here. We have N, pentomino P, T, U, V, W, Y, and Z. If I'm going too fast for you, you can look in your book. They have them there, identified. And if you look closely, they share a side. Okay, and they're going to create a box shape. Open top box. They're going to ask you to identify the pentominos that can create an open top out of those 12 mentioned. I'm going to tell you that there are 8 total. And I'm going to give you a visual right now on one of them, what I mean by open top. One of the pentominos is the T. And the T looks like this. And what I'm going to show you right now is if I fold all those sides together, it's going to create a box. And the box is going to look like this. Now I'm going to number each side so you know where each side belongs when I fold this box together from the pentomino T. So number 1 would be at the bottom. And then number 2 would be the front side. And number 3 would go across from 2 to the back side. And number 4 would be next to 3. And number 5 would be across from 4. Okay, so we have used up all the sides. Now, do you notice that in the top there's no side? We already covered the 5 sides. That's what we mean by open top. Okay, that means that there's all sides have been used and there was an opening. Now, some of you will be able to see this mentally once you think about the pentomino and you put the foldings together. You'll be able to see that which one has an opening. Some of you will need a visual and you might have to draw the picture. You might have to draw the picture and then cut it up and fold it to be able to identify out of the 12 which 8 total give you an open top. I already gave you one of them, which is the T. Like I said, there are 7 more. So if you can identify those, come see your teacher. And then we know that you understand which one will leave with an open top. The last section of the lesson is that with these pentominoes, you're going to see or hear that do some of these have a line symmetry and which ones have a rotational symmetry. Now, line symmetry, if you recall, is if you put like an imaginary line where you would fold that pentomino, is going to match exactly from one side to the other side. So think of an imaginary line going across in the middle, and when you fold it, it's a reflection of the other side. So one of the pentominoes with the line symmetry is the T. Now, if you recall, the T looks like this. So, one more here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I put a line down the middle here, like folding it, it matches exactly. Okay, so one of the pentominoes is T for line symmetry. They're also going to ask you about the rotational symmetry. That means that when you turn the pentomino, the shape, it's the same. Okay, so one of these examples would be the pentomino X. Now, pentomino X looks like this, and let me see. I'm gonna draw it right now so we could visualize it. So pentomino X goes like this. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means every time I turn it, it's gonna look the same. Okay, so if I turn it, it's gonna look the same. Okay, so one of them here is, so for rotational symmetry would be pentomino X, and an example for line symmetry for one of them is pentomino T. Now, these aren't the only ones. This is just one of the examples. So if you could figure out the others, you'll be good to go.